Welcome to today's video. I bit my tongue yesterday, so I might have a little bit of a lisp today. I hope you can understand everything I say, especially towards the end. I'm sorry if I mumble a little bit, or stumble on my words, or if it sounds like there's a bunch of cuts in the recording, because there probably will be. So today we're going to be making a strawberry fruit cup coaster. So just like our previous videos, you're going to make a slip knot, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to chain 4. And then we're going to connect our last stitch with our first stitch. Just go right up under that first stitch and slip right through. And then we're going to chain 1. So now we're going to do our first row. From the center, we're going to do 8 single stitches. Also, I know this is a little bit of a weird color for a strawberry. I'm just trying to use up my scrap yarn. We'll just say this is a very ripe aged strawberry. It's a darker pinkish red. I tucked my tail in so that I could tighten the circle, but it ended up coming loose again towards the end of the project anyway. Not too loose really, but anyway, so we are not going to tie off the very end of each row and then chain 1. Instead, we're going to continue. This is going to be a continuous stitch, a continuous loop around the circle. So going into the top of our first stitch from that row, we're going to continue into our second row, and we're going to start doing 2 single stitches in every stitch. So we started with 8, so we will end with 16. Continuing our continuous stitch onto our third row. Once you have 16, this row we're going to start that fancy little pattern we've been doing. We're going to do 1 single stitch in the first stitch, and then 2 single stitches in the next one. And then we're going to repeat that all the way around until we have 24 stitches total. If you haven't figured out how to read your work quite yet, just keep going until you have a total of 24 stitches all the way around, and then we'll just call that the third row, and then we'll continue. Remember, at the end of each row, we are not tying off and chaining 1. Chaining 1. We will be just continuing to work all the way around, over and over and over. We're just going to keep working in a continuous stitch. It's a little bit redundant, sorry. And then in each row, also I highly suggest using markers for something like this, that way you don't get lost in your work. I used to do that when I first got started, and kind of ruined a few of my projects, but that's okay. So in our fourth row, we're gonna do 1 single, and then 2 singles in each stitch, and then continue adding an extra 1 single stitch before your increase stitch in every row. So make it as big as you want, and then the very last stretch between the increase stitches, so say you've got 5 rows and you're about to finish your 5th row, just before you finish your 5th row, see, I'm marking it right here, there's the end of my 5th row, and there's the last increase that I just did. This last row right here, not full row, this section I should say, we're gonna yarn over like we're doing a double stitch, and we're gonna go right into the middle of this line, this row, and we're gonna do 6 double stitches. So I skipped 2 stitches and I went into the 3rd stitch, and in this 3rd stitch I am putting 6 double stitches. This is a fan stitch. I believe it's the same thing as a mermaid stitch as well. I could be wrong, I'm not entirely sure. If you have more stitches than, 5 or 6, like say you got like 7 or 8 stitches, maybe consider trying a triple stitch before, so you're getting ready to set up a double stitch, right? So you yarn over before you go through your stitch, yarn over twice instead, and then go through your stitch, and then yarn over, pull through, and then continue that. And you'll basically yarn over 3 times once you pull back through instead of just twice. I hope that makes sense. So now I've got the shape of a strawberry, and now I'm going to add seeds, and since I'm pretending this is a more ripe strawberry, I'm going to use black seeds. And if you have like a brighter, less ripe strawberry, like a nice fresh strawberry, maybe consider doing white seeds or something. To get started, tuck your tail inside of some stitches, not weaving them through them, but right in the center so that you can't see the string through either side. And then we're not trying to make this a double-sided strawberry, we're just gonna focus on making one side look good. The other side's gonna be a little messy, don't worry about that. So I'm kind of sewing along the rows, which kind of helps with the direction of the seeds on an actual strawberry, so it looks a little bit more realistic. So at the very tip of a strawberry, the seeds are closer together, and they're coming down to a point. They're all pointing the same direction down to a point. And then once you get about halfway up, then they start changing direction and they start pointing like straight up and kind of pointing in towards the top. To hide the ends of your strings, remember to tuck them inside of the stitches, not poking out through either side, but tuck them in if it's a different color at least. This hides it and keeps it secure so that it doesn't come undone. Like I said, this is not a reversible strawberry, so we can go ahead and add some leaves to one side. Make your loop. And then we're going to chain 6. Then we're going to add a single stitch to our 5th stitch that we did. So go back 1, and we're going to do a single stitch. And then in the 2nd stitch, we're going to do, you can either do another single stitch or you can start doing a half double stitch. Yarn over like you're going to make a double stitch, but then don't follow through with the whole double stitch. Treat it like a single stitch. And then you can do another half double stitch. And then you can do a double stitch in the 2nd stitch that we did initially. And then in the very last stitch, or our very first stitch, however you want to look at it, we're going to go ahead and do 6 double stitches. Kind of like the fan at the tip of the strawberry. We're going to do 6 double stitches, and then coming back up the other side, we're going to come right out of the same stitches that we just went through, and we're going to do the exact same stitch on the opposite side. So once we have these 6 done, going up 1 stitch, we'll do 1 more double stitch, and then up 1 more stitch will be a half double stitch, and you know, however, depending on how you wanted to shape your leaf, might be another half double stitch or it might be a single stitch. It's entirely up to your preference if you want a stubbier leaf or a thinner leaf. Once you get back up to the top, do a slip stitch and then loosely sew the strings, leave a nice long tail and loosely sew the strings along the edge of the leaf back to the base of the leaf, the fat part of the leaf, so that we can sew it onto the strawberry. And you can sew it onto the strawberry however you are comfortable with. You can go around the perimeter of the leaf if you have enough yarn on your tail, or you could just do like a quick little X at the base of the leaf just to keep it on there, and then the leaf can curl up a little bit. It's entirely up to your own preference. You can make as many leaves as you like, just make sure that you don't cover up the spot where the cup is going to sit on the coaster. If it helps to draw out the kind of shape that you want and kind of guess, like draw some lines and kind of guess what size stitch you need to make that shape, you could experiment with that. I used to do that. It was very fun. I learned how to make wings and different shaped leaves and stuff. It was very fun, honestly. I would love to see what designs you could come up with and how creative you could get. I kind of want to make a tree. See if I can make a crocheted tree. That would be a very interesting project, though it would have zero purpose or functionality or anything. Anyway, thanks for listening to my stupid lisp. My tongue is very sore right now. I keep accidentally biting it. I bit it so hard yesterday, it hurt. Luckily I have Orgel. I hope your crafting is going very well. I hope you have a wonderful day and happy crafting. Oh, and don't forget to share your stuff with me on social media. Tag samlescreations. Have a nice day.